takes you on a ride with interesting personalities across various spheres of influence. Join the conversation every Saturday by 8 a.m. to have your say on these issues. The program is intermittently spiced up with traffic updates to ensure a smooth ride across the city. Let's talk on Talk Time, Saturdays by 8 a.m. on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Talk Time. The conversation has just begun.
A fantastic one it is, and it's the 8 o'clock hour. Victor Oteri is here. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike James. How you doing?
Fabulous, and feels good to be here again for a weekend.
Yeah, feels pretty good. Music by George Benson.
Yeah.
Took you way back in time in the 80s, and there are lots of things that brings reminiscences about the 80s.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so today is the City Marathon. It's been on since 6 a.m., right?
5 a.m.
Okay, so I'm sure that most of the runners would have reached some very considerable point of the journey.
Most definitely.
And
as of the last time, we, actually we've been tracking the movement.
Right.
So, the last reports we got says that they were moving towards Osborne from Illubury. That was about 7:09.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're likely going to be having a winner before 9 o'clock.
Oh,
Most
hopefully.
likely. That the 42-kilometer race would have found a winner. And are you hopeful that this time around a Nigerian can win?
Well.
Speaking with Chase Johnson on Thursday, he was optimistic that at least a Nigerian can be among the top 4.
Okay, yes, I'm optimistic about that.
All right, let's see how that pans out. We'll see. We'll find out. But traffic-wise, what's happening across town? Talk to me.
Okay, so far it's been an appreciable flow of traffic taking you through the Ju-Shaga corridor. But first, just to remind motorists that the 3rd Milan Bridge is closed in its entirety.
That's
no
right.
access at all.
You wouldn't have access until
2
the
p.m.
marathon is over.
And maybe before 2. So for the Ju-Shaga corridor, we have recorded good movement all the way from a Shaga roundabout towards Fagba intersection. And of course, the stretch of Grammar School isn't looking bad. Coming from Amalat Junction, connecting level crossing en route Fagba Junction. I understand movement is still pretty calm on that stretch.
Beautiful.
Aggregate Pensilma still looks good to use.
All right.
Likewise, College Road, no cause for alarm, no issues, and of course, no impediment has been recorded along the way.
Beautiful. All right, then. So those making use of Papa Shiri Expressway, was the 411 there too?
No news yet, but the news we have is from the Apapa Jegule corridor. A good movement in its entirety, coming from Ojo Road and Ottawa to link Boundary and approaching Boundary roundabout. No issues at all. Mobile Road still looks good to use, inward and outward, and movement of vehicles out of Apapa through Marine Bridge down to Igoma and Ijora is fine.
Beautiful. Okay, then. I'm sure I'll be getting more feeds. No breakdowns to report this morning, right?
Let's see. Okay, so we've been keeping an eye on the situation at Goyi Junction. It's a collision between a long trailer and a truck. That going junctions along the Lagos-Abẹ́òkúta Expressway.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's not seriously impeding the traffic,
At the
the flow
moment.
of traffic at the moment. And speaking about breakdowns, well, none.
Okay, none apart from that.
Yeah, but there was an accident earlier. Reported an accident at Paco bus stop in Ward Alaguton. Yeah, involving a loaded trailer and a 12-tire truck. But that was during the 6 o'clock hour.
Right.
At that time, efforts were on to have the vehicles involved evacuated.
All right, so let's hope that all of this would have been resolved before traffic begins to pick up during the morning hours as
Hopefully.
things develop.
Hopefully.
All right, so the focus today, we're going to be talking a whole lot about women. So that's why we'll be bringing Dio in.
Yeah, we have women in the house already.
Yes, it's a girls' party that we're going to be having this morning. Tevi Dio, Anthony, joining the free at this time. Dio, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Good morning. Glad to be here this lovely
So
Saturday
you must be
morning.
feeling happy that we're going to be reflecting much more about your gender this morning.
Yes.
Even though the conversation is not totally about women, but we're going to be, zooming perhaps zooming our
Less.
satellite on women and migration. Okay, so Mike, a lot of times we talk about people who are migrating out of Nigeria, not just for the jackpot. Jackpot is a recent trend.
Yeah.
People trying to see how they can, do their things abroad. But we found that people have been migrating forever from the 90s through the 2000s, and now the migration has reached heightened levels with so much desperation.
Now, this migration is different from the regular jackpot, right?
Right. So this
Because
is,
you're going through illegal routes.
that's right.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking about irregular migration, and irregular migration as it affects women. The other time we spoke with somebody who returned from Libya. You remember the lady we spoke with?
Oh, yes. I do.
And when she narrated her ordeal of what she went through, having to stay in Libya for almost, was it 3 or 4 years? And
Hard
courtesy-
labor, prostitution.
that's right. And with the help of some non-governmental organizations, she was raised and brought back to Nigeria. Now, my friends in the building this morning are also in that light. They are, bringing the narrative and stemming it up to see how we can stem the tide against irregular migration. So we'll be speaking with them shortly.
All right, of course, yes. I'll be in the background, and I'd just want to believe you're going to be having great conversations with Victor Oteri. I'll be back at 9:15 for Cleaning Edge to enjoy good time.
I say you gotta love her. Had a PH chick by the name of Joan, long throat. Asking for a H.
Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. You're welcome to Talk Time this beautiful Saturday. Today is the 10th day in the month of February, the year 2024. Things are pretty cool and calm out there. The weather is very, very friendly at the moment. And of course, you know that the Lagos City Marathon is very much on at the moment. We'll be tracking that and bringing you updates as it relates to your movement on the roads. Just to let you know, some roads have been cordoned off as a backlash from this particular marathon. Take note, those of you who are trying to make use of the Third Milan Bridge is totally closed until the race is over. Okay, but if you head into the island, you can still make use of Ikorodu Road, of course, through Funsha Williams Eco Bridge to Lagos Island. That is your destination. You can do that, and you still have it pretty cool and calm. Talk Time is the program that brings you latest gist, especially things that talk about developmental issues in the society. Knowledge, they say, is power. Information liberating. Education is the premise for progress in every society and in every family. So says Kofi Annan, who was the former Secretary General of the United Nations. Now, a group that I'm going to be featuring this morning believes in information being very liberating, and they believe that education as well can help change a whole lot of things, and that's why we're going to be focusing on this subject. Today, we are reflecting on how to stem the tide of irregular migration of women, and we're doing that from the perspective of GIDN, and that's Girls Inspired Development Network. All right, they've been in the building for quite a while. Let me bring them straight up to the microphone. And first up, I have Chilean Ife Azu, who is a migrant returnee. Chilean, nice to have you in the building. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this conversation.
Beautiful. And joining her as well is Bukola Adeboye. She's of the Girls Inspired Development Network. Bukola, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Good morning, everybody.
Wonderful. It's nice to have both of you in the studios. All right, so before we settle in on irregular migration, let's talk a bit about Girls Inspired Development Network, GIDN. Bukola, who are you and what do you guys do?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. It's a pleasure. GIDN, it's a non-for-profit organization, and we reach out to women and girls in low-income community. For us at GIDN, we believe that women and girls shouldn't be limited in discovering their potentials, and we do this through our thematic areas.
All right. What thematic areas are these?
Okay, so we look at education, advocacy, women empowerment, and health. And we do things related to technology.
All right. And how long has the organization been in existence?
The organization has been in existence since 2012, and it was officially registered in 2016.
Wow, so this is going to like 12 years in terms of its intent, and operationally 8 years, so to say.
Yes.
And in all of these years, Bukola, how would you describe the impact of GIDN? What have you guys been doing?
It has been a great impact. You know, when you go to different communities,
right,
and you see different kind of social issues that you see outside, and we're able to connect with them and provide solutions with them. So one of them is why we are here, talking about irregular migration,
which is very, very good. Let me bring in Chilean at this point. Chilean, at what point did you get in contact with Girls Inspired Development Network?
Okay, I've been with them for a while now. I can't really remember exactly when. I think I first connected with GIDN through the Migrant Project, and so far it should be about 3 to 4 years now, so yes.
All right, that's around the COVID period or pre-COVID?
Of course.
Okay. All right, so I have to describe you as a migrant returnee. And for those who are not very much familiar with that, maybe you just want to tell us, when we say migrant returnee, what are we talking about here?
Okay, so I'm someone who have experienced the migration, but the irregular routes, particularly the trans-Sahara route from Nigeria to Libya, heading to Europe.
Wow.
That was an experience I had in 2017. It's been quite a long time, and I'm here to shed light on what happens to women on that route.
All right, we'll dig into that as the program moves on this morning. But let me get back to you, Bukola. During the week, you ladies came together to have a conversation around irregular migration as it relates to women. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And what was the idea behind that event?
The idea about that event is for us to amplify the voices of women issues, and bringing together journalists from different areas within the sector of migration. And it's a part whereby most times we don't have this information put out there, and we wanted journalists to be able to amplify the voices of women.
All right. And I'm curious, why focusing on women? I mean, irregular migration takes place between men and women at the same time. Everybody seems to be involved in it.
Yes.
So why are you guys just focusing on women?
People most times says women are weaker vessels, right? And
even though you're the stronger vessel.
and women most of the time when it comes to migration and irregular routes in particular, you will see that most women are the vulnerable people. They are the most vulnerable persons, and we are looking at if things are going to happen today, it is women. Rape happens, sexual violence, different kind of all manners of atrocities happens, and women are always at that spot.
Right. And for those who are wondering what we're talking about, irregular migration, Bukola, is there a way you can break it down for them? When we say irregular migration, what does it really mean?
So irregular migration is this is a means of traveling through the routes that is not legally bounded by the government. So the places where the government says it is not right for you to follow, those are irregular places. So now we are now talking about migrating out of the country. So you want to travel to Europe, and normally you are meant to book your visa, take do all the proper documentation.
Take your flight.
Take your flight, exactly, and prepare, have a migration plan, to Japa. Let me use that word because it's now popular. But right now, most people, because they are easily enticed by, I'm traveling. This my cousin, my auntie is now in Canada. This person is now in Europe. So how can I do that? I want to jump at any means possible. And because of that, most women in particular, they find themselves susceptible to these issues, and they get enticed by saying, bring 500,000 naira, I'm going to take you abroad.
Right.
And 500,000 naira can literally not take you abroad. At least you must have like 10 million naira in your account, to settle in properly. And when they entice you with 500,000, you say, at least I can quickly gather that one and, travel through this. And unknown to them, they take them through the routes that it's not even, it's not legally bounded by the government. Okay. So imagine taking a bus through Kano, from Kano to Niger, from Niger, to Libya, to Agadas, like that. Those are the routes that they take through going to Libya and going towards Europe.
All right. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM on Talk Time this morning. We're trying in our little way to stem the tide of irregular migration. And we're doing this from the perspective of Girls Inspired Development Network. Bukola Adeboye is here, same for Chile and Ife Azu, who both of them are taking us through all of this. Let's take you through the Ikorodu corridor this morning. Traffic generally subsided as it's very, very, very good as we speak. From Aruna to Agric intersection, connecting Antikeni, linking you up with Ogununtu intersection to Majidu, as well as Asolo down to Itowulu. All looking pretty good, no major worries. Return journey is also looking good, but you need to watch out for traffic light regulation at Ogununtu. I understand the traffic light there is not really functioning. Linking inner Ikorodu through Obasekumade Road to a Bute police post is very, very good, up to General Hospital, as well as Ojogbe and Itailewa down to Igbogbo, all looking pretty good, very cool and calm. However, those of you coming in from Igbogbo St. Margaret to a Bute police post, you're having it good too, but slow approaching the junction. This is due to alternation by the traffic light. Nothing to worry as you drive through that end. Ebute Police Post to Obasekumade, all looking pretty good inwards Ogununto, not bad at all. Slow movement as well approaching the intersection, but nothing to worry. And all through that corridor, we can tell you, no major breakdowns recorded. Okiodo end this morning, I understand there's a breakdown there. It's a container laden truck with wearing issues, I understand. And of course, Obadei Drive, again, okay, I understand that the motorist was driving against traffic. That's why we had that breakdown there. Okay, then. So, 40-feet container leading truck is broken down at that particular location. All right, we'll keep you posted from time to time. Okay, so let's get into this. You've been able to give us a definition of what irregular migration is. You've given us a true nature of what it looks like. But let's just have a feel. Let's transport people's imagination this morning through those routes and see what it would look like. Chilean, you have had that experience, right? In 2017, you said.
Of course.
How did it all start?
Okay, so 2017, I'll just take you back a bit because I want to shed light on the reason why most persons migrate.
Right.
Majority of us migrate because we have several life challenges within the country. We focus on the economic aspect, but we don't talk about certain other things that could be a push factor or a reason why people want to migrate. For me, it was a desire to become better.
Okay.
It was a desire to grow. I had graduated from the Enugu State University of Science and Tech, and I needed to start my career. I wanted something that could give me a push. And so I started connecting with several persons. At the time, for me, it was family. There were family members who really were interested in helping out, although we didn't know the motive.
Okay.
You know, in my mind and in the mind of my parents, these persons want my career to bloom. They want me to become that woman that I wanted to be.
Right.
And I just had my baby. He was just 4 months.
Okay,
And
you already married?
not necessarily.
Okay.
I was in a relationship. So they wanted me to, you know, from their own end, because these persons I'm talking about were already in Europe, one in France, two in Italy.
Okay.
And so they wanted me to leave my baby behind and come over.
And your baby was how many months?
4 months.
Wow.
So we had questions. We wanted to understand, why do you want me to leave my baby? So the idea was, oh, you know, you're a woman, working and taking care of a child wouldn't be easy. And so I went to...
So you had to decide that. You had to agree to that kind of decision.
Yes, I agreed with it. It was a lot of pressure because I didn't like the idea. You know, as an educated person, I also learned that breastfeeding was really good for my child. So I wanted to continue that. I had that struggle, and then at the end of the day, I accepted.
So you decided to give your child to your mom?
Yes,
Okay.
to my mom. My mom is quite young, so I left my baby with my mom. And so I went to Benin to process my papers as informed, because before I left, they had told me, oh, your documents will be ready, everything would be given to you once you get to Benin. So I got to Benin with my very big luggage, and they started breaking it down. I mean, they removed quite a lot of things. They removed some of my documents. And so they told me they will be sending those things to me once I arrive. You know, cargo this, cargo that. You don't need to carry big luggage. Just leave and take just your backpack.
Wow.
Of course, they had all of that arranged. And so they took certain of my clothes and started putting in very thick clothes. You know, they had all of that figured out in their house.
Okay.
We moved from there the next day to...
Now, this place that you're talking about in Benin, was it like a center? Was it, where was it?
Just like I said, mine was family. I mean, it was familial trafficking. So the place where I moved from was a family house. It was my auntie's house.
Okay.
And then the children were not around. So it's just me and two other young girls like me as well. And then one of their daughters. But then when we got to the park, we found out that there was also an in-law included, which was pretty much the man that should be guiding us.
All right. So that will give you some kind of confidence.
Of course. We were confident, but I had questions. So I quickly reached out to a lawyer friend of mine. We didn't have time to talk, but I told her that I'm on the move. I don't know where I'm headed. The information is I'm going to France, but the way things seem to be going, I have questions, but I don't know who to ask.
All right. So at this point, you are in Benin. You are getting to a park. They're going to take you through where? Was it going to Ghana? I mean, I expect that you're going to be asking, when to go to the airport?
Okay. So the information is you're going to Abuja, and that's where you're leaving from.
Okay.
So we got to, I think where I started getting scared a bit was also when we got to, well, we hadn't even entered Abuja. We met NDLEA workers. They stopped our vehicle. They brought everyone out. They started searching our bags. You know, my bag had been packed in such a way that you will know that this person is going somewhere because there's pretty much everything. There's snacks, there's pad, there's just something that will give you a clue that this person is on the move, right? And so these NDLEA staffs they didn't do much. They just sat us down and we were just hearing them. Like, I had questions. Now them, when do it? I'm not a drug user. I don't use drugs, so I assume a job, right? So I started asking them, like, what did we do?
What does it mean?
Yeah, what did we do? I was asking the man that was supposed to be taking care of us, right? I was asking him, what did we do wrong? Like, is there something they found in our bags or in the bags of the other passengers that made them to keep us here? And so they couldn't find they couldn't tell us anything, but then they let us go, right?
That was after how many minutes?
That was Kogi before getting to Abuja.
Right. And this was after how many minutes they delayed you?
More than 30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay.
More than, they kept us seated on the ground and they kept searching everybody's bags, scattering things, you know, but not necessarily saying anything to us.
Okay, so that transpired and the journey continued.
Yes, the journey continued. We got to Abuja. From Abuja, we were told, oh, there's someone who is supposed to pick you up. The person came around, he picked us up. The four of us actually went with the person, and then next we were told, oh no, you're not moving from here, you're moving from Kano. Guess what? I didn't even ask any questions going forward. I was just going with it. Like, wherever they say, oh, you're not supposed to be here, you're supposed to be in the other place, we just kept moving along. And the interesting thing is that you're not alone at this point. You're now meeting other young people who are also on the move. You know, so
Bukola, let me bring you in at this point. So these are familiar stories, right?
Yes, they're familiar.
That's not just the only story you've heard like this.
Oh, it's not just the only
Wow. All right then. So Chilean, continue. So you went to Kano on that fateful day. A journey of another, how many hours? 4 hours?
yes, or more, because we're hiding. You know, they were not necessarily moving us through the roads. They were hiding us at this point.
So they were the illegal route component of it.
Of course.
And you being an educated person, something should have cropped up in your mind at that
A lot of questions, but you couldn't ask. Who are you going to ask? Meanwhile, every other person who is going is
And you
just
never
like
thought about the fact that, look, I can get back at this point. Let me get down.
Okay, so at this point, you know, you're also motivated. You're seeing young people. They all look safe. They are not bothered. Everybody just wants to go. So in the conversation you're having with them, you're trying to find out what is going on. Nobody is giving any answer. They're like you. They're also naive. So the only thing that is on everybody's mind is, when do we get to where we're going?
All right. So let's fast track this. So you got to Kano.
I got to Kano. We moved from Kano to Niger. Pretty much what I can remember, because I can't really tell how we even got to Niger. All I knew is that from one vehicle to another, some of the vehicles no seats, you're meant to lie down so that the police wouldn't see you. Some of the vehicles you're just overpacked. The first vehicle was about 18-seater bus. They carried over 38 persons.
Wow.
I was among the less privileged people. I sat at the booths and it rained that night, so it was not funny. But then other young people, we were all making it look like this is a journey, an adventure. So you're going somewhere, you're just excited with other young people. Let's leave Nigeria behind and then go and find what we are looking for. You know, that was what it was like for me. That's why also young people don't ask questions when these things happen.
Were you able to check the time? Were you able to follow up with the time and date?
Okay, so I didn't have my phone with me. That's another thing. Before we left, they removed our phone. They removed the SIM cards. They gave us our SIM cards. There's a way they do it. They tear your trouser at certain points and insert your SIM card, so you could, at some point, if you need the contacts, you could get your contacts out. But then the phones were taken from us before leaving Benin. So I didn't even know what date it was. I only knew the date I left. So counting how many days, day, night.
Right.
I spent 1 month, 2 weeks, and 4 days in the desert
To get to Libya. And these were days. Were you able to sleep?
I couldn't. How do you even sleep in an environment like that? It's not like it's a house. It's an open environment. Everything there is strange. There are no trees like you could relax under. The harsh weather condition, no food, no water. You're just trying to whatever you see.
So how are you surviving?
I think that was the first time I had dates. I didn't know what date fruit is. I've never had it
Okay.
but it was in the desert I had it. And I'm someone who is very allergic. I have issues with dust. I think date fruit was one of the reasons why I didn't have so much of the allergy experience going on that route. So date fruit was more like food.
They provide that for you, or you have
They
to
don't provide anything. You're just moving. As you're moving with other young people, people have seen things. I see this one. People are helping each other. So,
Wow.
pretty much some persons with snacks. I remember I mentioned that in my bag there was snacks. And so I had granuts. I had gari.
So
This
you
we
were-
would have asked questions about. We had gari, and so once in a while you just put gari, you put your granuts in it, and you chew,
Very true.
and
And you move on.
you move on.
Right. So 1 month, and how many days took you to Libya?
1 month, 2 weeks, and 4 days.
Right. So getting to Libya, you had some kind of excitement to say, well, it appears this journey is really, really advancing, and we've reached a particular point.
There was absolutely no excitement
At that point.
because yes, we got to Libya and we were put in different vehicles. So everyone, your so and so person's passenger, your so and so person's passenger, they were just everyone moving on their own. And so the four of us at that point, we were waiting for whose passenger we were. We didn't get to meet the person on time. The person came in pretty much later than every other person. So people had left. We were just there in that building. And so when the person came around, it was an Igbo man. We moved along with him. They put us in a particular place.
Okay, so let me just interject that. So an Igbo man, and you being from the southeastern part of Nigeria, you're able to connect with him through the language, right?
Yes. He's not necessarily telling you much. It's just welcome, sit here, stay here. And so in that building there were so many people. So girls this way, boys this way. The room I entered was the room for the girls, and so there were so many girls, people sitting down. We had the opportunity to look into where the boys were. People injured.
Wow.
We didn't know why. It was in the evening of that day that we figured out from his instruction that if you don't pay, they continue to beat you until you pay. For the ladies, I'm going to sell you to whoever is ready to buy.
So more or less like modern slavery.
It's modern slavery. I'm going to sell you to whoever is ready to buy. So at that point, we were also scared. We started reaching out. He gave us phones. Call your family. Let them pay my money. You're owing me. I know I didn't have any transaction with him, but how do I even figure out what happened? So they did their transaction before we even got to that point. Yes. So he pretty much paid the drivers, and that's why he believes that we're owing him. And in Libya, there is a calculation. So if he had paid the driver 100,000, they call it nus, twice what he paid. So twice or three times what he paid.
Right.
So to say
Possible.
each of us were four, was 300,000.
This 300,000 naira?
Yes.
Okay, that's equivalent.
Yes.
Okay. So now that you are in Libya with the future very uncertain, you were supposed to be transiting to France. And now you're caught up in Libya having to go and pay a debt that you never knew about. What was the next step for you? What did you think you're going to do at that point?
There was absolutely nothing in my head. When there are some situations when you find yourself, you're like, does this actually exist? It was like I was in a movie. That was how I felt, because everything was just strange. People's behavior, the way people try to extort others. So if I have the opportunity to give up somebody else for my release, so all all that was in my mind is if there is an opportunity for me to return to.
Okay, just a second. Let's take this call that's coming in. Hello there. Good morning. Good morning.
Ilayemi.
Yeah, Ilayemi, talk to me.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ilayemi.
Hello?
Go ahead, Ilayemi. We can hear you.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, it's a bad connection. We're trying to say I was smoothing that out. All right, so nothing was brewing in the head as what you can do to find the solution. So what happened?
We moved from there after paying. We moved from there to
Who paid for you?
the family. We started reaching out,
Okay.
each of us. At the end of the day, he collected 1 million. That's 250 from each of us, and then we moved from there to where they would say is the connection house and the living house. So for Libyans, connection house is more like a prostitution house. The living house is more like where traffickers themselves own or stay. You know, so they moved us to those houses for a couple of weeks.
So you went to the living house or the connection house?
The living house.
Living house.
With two of my sisters and the man.
All
So
right.
they moved us. A couple of days later, the man started asking us, at this point, the road is not good. If I push you through the sea, you'll be caught. Would you want to stay for a bit before going to the seaside? You know, we stayed for a bit. We stayed almost 2 weeks plus, and nothing was happening. So we kept insisting, okay.
And in after 2 weeks, how were you feeding?
They have food.
Okay, they'll be giving you food.
They have food, yes. It's a house, so they have food. We tried to get information on how we could cross to Europe. And so they moved us. That was after about 2 weeks plus. They moved us to cross the sea. It was another journey, just like
You actually went on the ship?
It was like,
Boats?
yes. It's not necessarily ship. It's balloon. It's balloon.
Wow.
Not. But then before the pushing, I spent almost a month on the sea waiting because there were issues in Libya at the time. There was war. There was just a lot of things going on.
That's right.
And so eventually, we got arrested. On the day we were pushed, we got arrested and returned to Libya. So rather than going forward, we were taken back to Libya and put in prison. So they call it at that time. They would say it's deportation camp, but it wasn't a camp. It was a prison, yes, because there were no windows. You couldn't go out. It was just a very long hall with women everywhere. At the time, they were arresting anyone that is on the streets. Wherever they see you, they arrest and they put you in there. So
how long did you spend in prison in Libya?
Almost 4 months, 3 months plus.
Wow.
And then the UN started visiting some of the prisons, asking questions, and that's the International Organization for Migration.
Right.
Those who want to come back or who want to go back to their countries could sign up with them. They call it assisted voluntary return, and so that was what brought me back to Nigeria.
All right, let's go back to Buki at this point. Buki,
Yes.
at what point did you guys get in connection with Chilean, and how did the Girls Inspired Development Network, get to meet people like her?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And your story is quite touching, Chilean. Though this is not the first time we are hearing it, And for us at Girls Inspired, just like I said before, we ensure that through our advocacy channel, we're able to tell the stories of young women and young girls there. So we have a show which we do it's called the Girls and Inspired Talk Show Series, where we call potential migrants, we call returnees, we call all types of women going through social issues to come talk about their stories.
Right.
So on one of our shows, through some of our sister organizations that we work with, we had to bring Chilean on board to come talk about our story.
Right.
And one is the Migrants Project. Where we do, it's more like a partnership with Girls Inspired to be able to amplify women's voices.
Right.
So Chilean was on our show, and she shared a lot of touching stories, and we said to ourselves, we must not stop here. We must ensure that we tell the stories of other women, and Chilean's story is one out of so many stories of women out there that we need to talk about.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, very, very touching story indeed from Chilean. Gillian Azu, who is a migrant returnee. We'll talk much more about what she's into right now and GIDM. But let's get back to the roads quickly. 080-99120777. The race is still very much on for the Lagos City Marathon. We're still tracking that as well. Ileemi, we're trying to connect with us earlier on. The connection was a bit bad. You can reach out to us or perhaps send the message. Agege and Pensinima corridor movement on Old Ikpaja Road, connecting Agbotikuyo as well as Shofunde, linking up with Okekoto. Is still looking pretty good. Old Abiyakuta Road en route Abatio, Nightel, appreciable as well, but busy approaching Total underneath the bridge. This is due to commuter activities coupled with alternation, but no cause for alarm. The stretch of Oba Ogunji still looking very good. Odreno intersection, gathering momentum, no major worries. Metal box connecting Acme Junction as well as Fumek. A better movement there. Mobile Rashadi linking you up with Oba Akran in and out is moving at a faster pace. Let's see if we can hear from you too. You've heard the story of Chilean, and of course you've seen what the Girls Inspired Development Network are doing. If you want to also add your voice to the conversation, feel free to do so, and that's on 080-9912-0777. Okay, 0809-912-0777. That's the number to call. Hello there.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Obayo.
This is Abayo on the line.
Okay, how are you doing?
The time going to.
All right.
I'm listening what my madam is talking about that place. Maybe wanted to go bed up the website. I wanted to start here, yeah.
All right.
I wanted to ask you a question, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Ask the question. What's your question?
I'm listening what it says. They said that it's transfer me money to the account. Maybe what best wanted to be cash.
Okay. If you want to pay cash.
They don't have cash.
Okay. If you don't have cash, why you are there? Okay. All right. Just listen. She'll respond to you. So, for those who never had people that could help them transfer cash to them, what happened to them?
So just like I said, right, if you're unable to pay, the traffickers, trafficking has gotten to the point where they don't care about you as an individual. They just want their money. So whatever they can do to get back their money, they will do it. So for instance, you don't have money to pay as a woman. You're sold out. You're sold to a connection house. You're sold to an Arab,
means that's a prostitution house.
Prostitution house or an Arab house where you're meant to slave, to work. And during the time you're working in that Arab house, you're not getting a dime.
Wow.
The entire money the transaction is between your trafficker and the Arabu. So you don't get to see any money at all till that particular transaction between you and your trafficker is complete.
Wow, that's very, very
and then for men, I would say is they beat you till you eventually give up.
Wow, until you die?
Yes, they don't stop beating you. So that means it's either you're looking for people to help you pay, to rescue you. For instance, last year June, I think, I and another lady, Oiza, raised about 1.1 million naira to rescue a particular guy that they've already beaten this guy to the point where you could tell that there's nothing left.
Wow.
And he's currently still working in Libya now because he's okay. We were able to, pay for him to leave that particular spot where he
so he can be independent.
Yes. And then we also rescued someone who they beat to the point they cut off one of his hand. He's currently back in Nigeria. He's in Imo. So you see, the idea behind this whole thing is they don't care if you're alive or dead. They just want their money.
All right, then 0809-912-0777. We're talking irregular migration and the challenges that are involved in it. Bukola, yes. I mean, the decision is all about what women can do to reject the offers, right?
Yes.
So what is GIDN doing to ensure that women can say, look, this is what I can see ahead of me. I'm not going that route.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Let's take this call. Hello there, good morning.
Yeah, it's Mr. Gideon from Ikorodu.
Gideon from Ikorodu, talk to me.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Actually, I had the conversation that's going on.
Right.
Like me, it's not to be that they worry about that Libya, how people suffer, they go through a lot. Even to travel on that desert alone, I don't reach my life for that. So no matter what my country is going through, no matter how Nigeria is bad, it's still better than other countries somewhere. I believe that.
Right.
So people have to just calm down and take it down. I've been watching some video. I think that was 2019 or 2020. They are putting those black people inside water. They put them in one room and open fire on them.
Wow.
That's bullets. So I was shaking in my room. So for me, why do I go to Libya? Those people that don't have common things. And those people forget one thing. If people be picking up their own people like that, they will never try that at all.
Right. So
the United Nations.
So your message now, Gideon, quickly, is that people should be contented. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. Everybody has right. Freedom of movement.
All right. We've taken note of that.
Why that Libya?
Right.
Sir?
I said we've taken note of your contribution. Thank you so much.
All right.
Let's get some more contributions as well. You can send in your questions and your concerns. What are some of those challenges facing women in making these kind of decisions? And how can we also help out to ensure that we do not have people falling in this trade, if I'm going to use it that way, of illegal migration? It's still holding sway despite the advocacy and despite all the things that we're talking about. Bukola,
yes.
You were about giving us the kind of interventions that you guys have done.
Yes. Yeah, so for Girls Inspired Development Network, one thing we believe in is partnership. And partnership working with...
Sorry, I have to also interrupt you. Hello there.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please turn down the volume of that radio.
Yeah, I have.
All right, quickly, what's your name?
This is Oye calling from Bopi.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I listened to all that has been said, and I just want to find out that what is government doing about this? Even African leaders, with all those stories in Libya and all those things, is it that we don't have an ambassador or we don't have a commissioner in that place that can see to these things, and the government can sit together and work these things out.
All right.
Secondly, with all the details of this girl saying they made payments to somebody, can't those payments be traced and those people arrested? Because, I mean, if we as Nigerians and Africans are doing that to ourselves, then what do you expect others to do for us?
Very good question. All right.
Really, that should be another focus that they should look at.
All right.
But this same set of people that took this young lady that were close to her families and they did this to her, and at the end of the day, she never got what the bargains that they were going to arrange for her, then they also must be brought to book. Until we start bringing people to book, they start getting the consequences of what they do. I'm going to tell you, it's just going to go on and on and on.
All right,
so I think that the government should also wake up, and then other human rights agencies should also wake up to find a way of getting some of these managers or whatever agents that they call them to book, and then others will begin to see that it's not something good to do.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Bukola, in that regard, quickly, and because of time now, so what have you done? I mean, in terms of interfacing with the government, is government doing anything about this irregular migration?
I would say government is doing something. They're trying their best, but the thing is we can't just leave it to the government alone. We all have to come together and ensure that we curb this menace. You know, like I was saying earlier on, that we believe in partnership, because we can also do it alone. Because we have our population in Nigeria. It's a whole. We are over 200 million. Over 200 million. So you can see that the government cannot just take up only that part. Right. So it has to be a collective decision for us to make together.
And Chilean, you are back to Nigeria. What have you been doing ever since your return?
So one of the very important things for me that I do is educating people on safe migration practices, and also creating a platform for women who have been through the same thing that I've experienced to get the much support needed, psychosocial support, economic empowerment, everything that could help them reintegrate back into society. So I founded the Female Return Migrants Network that has been in existence since 2019. After I arrived to Nigeria, I figured out that I'm not going to keep quiet about my experience, and I'm not going to also keep quiet about the needs of women who go through this particular.
You are very lucky you didn't go into prostitution.
Of course. Would I say lucky? That's we are also conscious of the kind of words we use. I can't say lucky because as
unfortunate
well the people who experienced it's not as if that's what they exactly want.
That's right. So, but I mean, I'm just trying to narrate that because I know I've heard of another lady we featured on this program. Her own experience is horrifying. It was just by a dint of luck, so to say, that she was able to escape from there after over 3 to 4 years of both slavery combined with prostitution. Quite unfortunate that she had to go through that. But as we begin to reach the finish line on the program this morning, what's the overall message? Let's start with you first, Bukola. Okay. What's the message to our people out there on how we can stem the tide of irregular migration?
Yeah, before we go into that, sorry, please, I want to divert a little bit. More on the work that we have actually done. So from inception, so we've worked with Bon Voyage Travels Limited. That's the hospitality arm. You would, in as much as we're trying to curb irregular migration, hospitality sector too has a lot of work to do. So Bon Voyage has actually supported us. And, we've trained teachers, we've trained school students, to be able to have this information. And this was through Project Guardian. This current program that we are here for, that's the journalist training. Okay. That one is called Connector. So Connector is that part where where we are trying to bring in women and ensure that they get business development skills, they have digital literacy skills to be able to equip themselves. Even if you want to jackpot or you want to go out, you have that migration plan and all.
All right. So your message now, your parting thoughts to our listeners?
Yes. So what I would say is, please don't be in a hurry. Yes, the economical challenges of the country, it's unstable at the moment. Take it one step at a time. Take it one step at a time and don't be in a hurry to jackpot.
All right, then Chilean, your parting thought for our listeners this morning?
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is be aware that traffickers are no longer using the method to recruit people. Okay. For instance, the man who just spoke said, why are people still going to Libya? They no longer tell people they are taking them to Libya. A particular young girl I talked to, they told her she was going to Cairo and she found herself in Libya. So now they are no longer helping people migrate to Libya, but you will definitely find yourself in that kind of situation at the end of the day. Right. So just be aware and keep yourself safe. The other thing I would say is report trafficking. You see it around you. It starts with the minor trafficking we ignore. Women taking young girls to their houses to slave. Report it so that these guys will know that we are serious about this thing. Report it. Don't keep it to yourself and say it doesn't actually matter. That's how it advances.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll leave it at that for now. And of course, we're trying only the way to stem the tide of irregular migration for women. Bukola, quickly, how can people connect with you? For those who are out there trying to reach out to you, how can they do that? GIDN?
Yes, they can reach us through our social media platform. Then it is Girls Inspired Development Network or Girls Inspired Africa. You can also reach us out through our mobile line.
Okay.
Yes, our mobile line is 070 480 94727. I will take it again. 070 480 94727. And you can reach us through our email, that is info@girlinspiredafrica.org.
All right, we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Chilean Ifi Azu is a migrant returnee, and Bukola Adeboye is of the Girls Inspired Development Network. And this morning, we'll be trying in our own little way to stem the tide of irregular migration. The program has been produced by Temidayo Anthony. Maximum thanks to Opayemi Shodunke, not forgetting our executive producer, Tayo Akonle. My name is Victor Oteri. Have a splendid Saturday. Bye.